T20I series came to a close on Wednesday, and it's the review show on Avnir Presents The Outside View part by WTF Sports. First up, let's look at the three-match T20I series between Australia and New Zealand. Let's move on to the talking points straight away. First of all, the third T20I that's fresher in our memories, and one name strikes out, Amelia Kerr. Her calmness with the bat, her guile with the ball. You think of the game, it's Kerr that stands out, isn't it, Ananya?
Yeah, she did. She bowled really, really well through the Australian innings. She exerted a large amount of control. Yes, she did get landing with a full toss, but I thought she bowled very well. She was very smart with the way she bowled, especially to the left-hander, slipping in the googly first ball. And then with the bat, she's been improving over the last couple of years. And I think she's really forging herself into a number 5 for New Zealand. She just showed so much calmness under pressure. And again, she's still only a teenager. So there's so much, that New Zealand can look forward to with her.
And the return of Satterthwaite, of course, she played a crucial knock in the final T20. And even throughout the series, she managed to spend time in the middle, but really couldn't translate it into a match-winning knock. So that's one a positive for New Zealand.
Yeah, definitely. It's a huge positive, especially going into the ODI as a format that she likes. I thought in the final T20I, she kind of just arrested the fall. She helped New Zealand kind of regain control during the chase, and she played a wonderful innings. I thought Amelia Kerr took the cake, but I think Amy Satterthwaite laid the foundation for her to come in and play the way she did. She was very, very good.
Three-match T20I series, of course, tells us a lot about New Zealand's batting shortcomings, but takes nothing away from the fact that Australia were the superior side. They were the dominant one, and they, of course, are the world champions. And they played like one, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I mean, there is just so much depth in Australian cricket at the minute. Their squad is full of people who are vying for a place in the 11. And I mean, to think that someone like Jess Jonassen, who I think is a really, really good batter, is batting at number 7, 8, 9. The fact that they have people like that to call on, and they're able to pull themselves out of difficult situations. They know how to win, and that's what sets Australia apart.
Let's move on to a segment that we like to call Spotlight, and we look at performers for the series from each of the sides. So your pick for Australian performer of the series, Ananya?
So my pick for Australia would be Georgia Wareham. I thought she kind of flew under the radar. Everyone was talking about Ashley Gardner, about Megan Schutt, about Jess Jonassen. But I think the fact that Georgia Wareham came in, bowled really crucial spells, and she got the big wickets for Australia. So I think that was really important. So she would be my performer of the series.
5 wickets, of course, for Wareham, and she's just sorted aside competition from Gardner, who scored 90 runs. Talking about New Zealand, again, there are a couple of contenders. Who do you go ahead with?
Yeah, so with New Zealand, I mean, you can think of Amelia Kerr, Leah Tahu, who bowled very well, and so did Sophie Devine. But I think for me, just the circumstances around her performances, I would say Amy Satterthwaite, not just because she's coming back, but I thought she showed so much calmness, and like Sophie Devine said, she looked like she never left. So I think for me, it was Amy Satterthwaite, and I'm really excited to see what she can do going forward.
A happy comeback indeed for Satterthwaite. Let's move on to the England versus West Indies series. 5-0 victory for England, a whitewash. And the third match really wasn't England. It was more of West Indies to lose, and that's what happened, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, West Indies just find ways to lose control of games, it seems. I mean, through the series, we've seen them kind of, be in the front, in the driver's seat, and then suddenly they do something that kind of, they lose all control of the game. And that's what happened in the final game. They seem to there seem to be moments where West Indies were in the driver's seat. They were bossing the game, and then one mistake. And in this game, it was just Shakera Selman's no balls, I suppose.
Poor old Shamilia Connell, 3 for 14 in a 5-over game where you bowled 2 overs. And yet after such a spell, you end up on the losing side. But that's been one of the positives for West Indies, the new ball bowling. It's just that the depth they struggle, and yet again the last over, and of course Shakera Selman's first over. So those two overs changed the bit for West Indies.
Yeah, it did. I mean, like you said, they've been very good with the new ball. They've bowled very tight lines, and that's exactly what Connell did today. She bowled tight lines in her first couple of overs, and she got those big wickets. But I think West Indies have just been, I suppose, lackluster with the ball, but they've also not been the best with their plans. So there's been a lot of confusion about what they want to execute at the end, and that's really costing them. And I think also the inability of their players to, I suppose, bounce back from making mistakes, and that's exactly what we saw with Selman today.
It's easier to look at 5 matches, a length of 5 matches, and find a pattern, which is not possible in a 3-match series. And one of those in this series, in the England-West Indies series, is the fact that England's middle order and the lower middle order often bail them out of mushy situations to put a score in excess of 150. So that's a big positive for England, the middle order and the lower middle order.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I think through the World Cup, they were kind of unsure of where to, fit their batters. They have a really long lineup, and they have some very, very capable batters batting lower down. And I think now they're kind of finding a groove for each one of them. We've seen Amy Jones kind of filling that number 5 position and doing well. She looks comfortable now in it. So I think it's just about fitting those pieces of the puzzle together. And I think England are doing that with their middle order.
A quick thought on where to next for West Indies batters.
So I think, for them, it's just about finding what makes them tick in this series. They kind of played within their shell. There was none of that flair or flamboyance that we normally associate with the West Indies batters. And I think for them, they did come into the series with little to no practice, but they didn't play the way you would normally associate with West Indies. I think there's just a lot of confusion about their roles as well. We saw someone like Campbell moving up and down the order, and I think if there's more clarity around what each one of them has to do, where they have to bat, I think they'll be better off.
Shorter the format, dangerous they get, isn't it? But let's move on to the spotlight section. England first. Sarah Glenn, Natalie Siver, Tammy Beaumont. These are the names that come up. What's your choice for the performer of the series?
Oh, definitely Sarah Glenn. I think Sarah Glenn's just gone from strength to strength since she made her debut last year, and she bowled very, very well again, got big wickets. So definitely Sarah Glenn for me.
Hashtag team pacer going for a spinner, all right. But talking about West Indies, there are numbers to throw, there are names to throw, but obvious choice, who do you go ahead with?
I think you can't look beyond Deandra Doughton. I mean, she was by far the best batter through the series. And also when she took the ball, she showed what she can do. And she was, as always, exceptional in the field, very strong arm. So yeah, you can't go past her.
You can't go past Deandra Doughton, says Ananya. As we wind up this review show of Avnir Presents the Outside View part by WTF Sports, do catch us during the Australia-New Zealand ODI series that starts on Saturday. See you then.